Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a really fundamental shift in how we think about reliability. For years, we've been obsessed with this idea of uptime, asking, is the server on? But we're going to move beyond that to the question that actually matters. Are our users happy? Let's get into how we can measure and even architect for that happiness, specifically on AWS.
So, I've got a question for you right off the bat. Is that 3 nines of uptime, that 99.9% that you see on every status page, is it really enough? We chase this number, we put it in our reports, but does it actually tell us the whole story about the experience we're delivering to our customers?
Because here's the thing, and it's a tough pill to swallow for some of us in tech, your users have absolutely no idea what your uptime percentage is. They don't care. What they do know, what they feel, is whether your app was painfully slow this morning or if their payment failed at checkout. Your internal dashboards can be glowing, all green, a sea of tranquility, but at the exact same time, your users could be having a miserable experience, and that's the gap we have to close.
Okay, so how do we fix this? We need a new way of talking about reliability, a whole new language, really. We need a framework that connects our technical metrics directly to that user experience. And that framework is built on something called Service Level Objectives, or SLOs for short.
It all starts with the Service Level Indicator, the SLI. Think of this as the raw measurement. It's just the data. It's not a goal, it's not a promise, it's just a number. Like, how many milliseconds did it take to serve that API request? That number, right there, is your SLI.
Now this is where it gets interesting. We take that raw measurement, that SLI, and we set a goal for it. And that goal is our Service Level Objective, our SLO. This is where we make a very specific, very concrete promise to our users. So we're not just measuring latency anymore. We're now promising that, say, 99% of all our requests will be served in under 200 milliseconds. See the difference? It's gone from a piece of data to a real commitment.
And this leads to what I think is the most powerful game-changing concept in this entire framework, the error budget. Look, if your SLO is to get it right 99% of the time, then that other 1%, that's your error budget. It's the amount of unhappiness you're allowed to have without breaking your promise. Now, this isn't an excuse to be sloppy. It's a data-driven allowance for risk. It tells your teams exactly how much they can experiment, how fast they can ship new features, and when they need to pull the brakes, all based on the real impact to the user.
If all that still feels a little bit abstract, let's bring it down to earth with something we all understand: pizza. Imagine you run a pizza delivery shop. Your SLI is just measuring the delivery time for every single pizza that goes out the door. Simple. Your SLO, that's your promise you put on the menu. We promise 95% of our pizzas will get to you in under 30 minutes. So, what's the error budget? It's that other 5%. That's your wiggle room for a traffic jam or a really busy Friday night. You can have a few late pizzas without breaking your core promise to your customers.
Okay, theory is great, pizza is delicious, but how do we actually do this? How do we wire this up in the real world? Let's connect these ideas to the tools a lot of us are already using every single day, like AWS, and especially Amazon CloudWatch.
And check this out, it's actually pretty straightforward. For a typical API that our users depend on, we can translate those fuzzy user happiness questions into hard numbers. For the question, is it fast? Our SLI concept is latency, and we can grab that directly from the P99 latency metric in API Gateway. For does it work, we're talking about error rate, which maps perfectly to the percentage of 5xx server errors, also from API Gateway. And for is it even there? Well, that's availability, and we can calculate that SLI by dividing the count of valid requests by the total number of requests. All of a sudden, these abstract goals are concrete, measurable CloudWatch metrics.
Now here's where the real magic happens inside an organization. Because SLOs create this shared goal, this common language that everyone can understand, from product managers to engineers. But different teams need to look at that goal from completely different angles. And that's where tailored dashboards come into play.
Think about it. Your product team and your SRE team are both staring at the same fundamental truth, the SLO. But they're asking totally different questions. The product team is looking through a telescope. They're asking, are our users happy over the long haul? Are we meeting our promise this quarter? The SRE team, on the other hand, has a microscope out. They're focused on the here and now. How much error budget do we have left today? Are we burning through it too fast? What's on fire right now? It's the same goal, but viewed from two very different and very necessary perspectives.
So, that product team dashboard, it's all about the big picture. It shows that top-line SLO compliance number, nice and big. It shows the error budget as a simple percentage remaining. It's got those weekly and monthly trend graphs so they can make strategic decisions. They're focused on the what. What is the user experiencing? Not necessarily the deep technical why.
But then you flip over to the SRE dashboard, and it's a completely different world. This is the command center. It shows the error budget burn down rate in real time, with alerts that screen when it's burning too fast. It's packed with super granular metrics, direct links to logs and traces, everything an engineer needs to answer the question, why? Why is this happening, and how do I fix it now to protect that budget?
So, you're probably thinking, okay, this is great, but where do I even begin? The crucial thing is that this isn't just theory. It's a practical, actionable framework. So let's build a dead simple template that you can take away and use to design your very first SLO, maybe even this afternoon.
It's really just 5 steps. First, don't try to boil the ocean. Pick one, just one, critical user journey, something like user logs into the app. Step 2, define the SLIs for that journey. Latency and error rate are always a great place to start. Step 3, set a realistic SLO target. Talk to your users. What do they expect? Maybe it's 99.9% of logins must be successful. Step 4, do the simple math to calculate your error budget. In this case, that's 0.1% of logins that are allowed to fail. And finally, step 5, build those 2 dashboards we just talked about and set up your alerts. That's it. You're doing it.
So I'll just leave you with this one last question to chew on. For your product, for your service, what is that one user journey you absolutely cannot afford to fail? The one that, if it breaks, nothing else really matters. Find that journey. Start there. Define its SLO, and I promise you, you'll be well on your way from just measuring uptime to truly engineering for user happiness.